is assured us he's refusing to pay for private treatment for the back complaint, and is waiting his turn in the national health queue. So he's still very principled, even at his age. And we will now commence with Lee Badham from the Midlands TUC. Okay. In place of Arthur Scargill, John Tyrrell, a personal friend of his, will be speaking in his place. Okay, so all will not be lost. Okay. Lee.
Thanks, Ian, and morning, everybody. And thanks for the invitation to come along today. It's the third May Day event that I've done this year. I did one in Wolverhampton on Wednesday, because I always hold an event on the 1st of May, regardless of what day it is. And I was in Northamptonshire last night, and the good thing about the one I did last night was that they kind of put a theme around it. And the theme was, a new world is possible. Or it was more of a question they posed, is a new world possible? And I think that when we're sort of talking amongst ourselves, obviously we want to create that better world. And I just thought that last night, as I say, I had a bit of a message about it, and I'll probably come on to that when I do just with me 5 minutes. But first of all, I'm proud to bring you fraternal greetings today from the Midlands Region TUC. The Midlands Region has 48 affiliated unions, and we represent just over 1.1 million working people in the Midlands Region. We're the largest voluntary organisation that's out there, and it's my job to make sure that we can open the doors that have been closed in our faces over the last number of years. And it's my intention really for us to be able to do that. I always remember what May Day is about. It's about us standing on the shoulders of others for what they did to get us to a lot of an extent where we are today. Although, as I'll say later on, to some extent I feel as though we're going backwards a little bit as a country and as a society. And you know, the TUC launched a really good video to celebrate this year's May Day, which talks about the campaign for an 8-hour working day. You know, for 8 hours of work, 8 hours of leisure, 8 hours of rest. And you know, it's those sort of things that I don't think that we should forget in relation to celebrating exactly what International Workers' Day is all about. Because at the time it started, you didn't have the World Wide Web. You didn't pick up your mobile phone and text a brother or a sister in another country to get them on board. You know, they did it the hard way. You know, they did it across the world, and that's why I'm proud of International Workers' Day. And they did have it harder. You know, some of those people that were taking action back in those days were imprisoned, some were shot, some were deported. You know, at the end of the day, organised labour has never been welcomed through the front door, where you've got bosses saying, do you know what, I think you lot should organise and mobilise and then come and have some collective bargaining with me. This is what people got us. And I think to myself now, you know, where we stand at this moment in time, because I've always been a believer in that old NUM slogan, the past you inherit, the future you build. And when you look at that past and what they did for us, I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we're going to build a better future for the generation that's going to come in behind us. And I suppose for me, some of the stuff that I think that we should be, you know, talking about is the challenges that we currently face. So first of all, we've got the current challenge of things like austerity, where to get the best out of the workforce, you pay minimum wage rates, bogus self-employment and 0 hours contracts. Yet to get the best in the boardroom, you pay top dollar. You have a look, for instance, at Birmingham City Council. I know Mandy will be speaking in a little while. You know, when they advertised for a new chief executive, they wanted to pay that person more than the Prime Minister. And they argued that they wanted to do that because they wanted the best. Yet your home care enablement workers, to get the best out of them, they want to cut their pay by £4,000 a year. That to me just ain't on. And that's the sort of thing that we've got to challenge for the next generation. Because I honestly believe that when the kids look through the history books at us, they're going to turn around and look us in the eye and say, do you really let them get away with that? When the bankers bankrupted the country, you lot paid out your pensions for it. You know, at the end of the day, there's a time for us to stand up and mobilise so that we can look that generation back in the eye and say, do you know what? No, we didn't let them get away with it. And there's a number of ways in which we can do that. And organising is one of the ways in which we can do it. And as I said earlier on, some of the challenges that we've got today, where I feel to some extent we're going backwards. You know, our economy, we judge the success of our economy based on how many millionaires we created, not on how many kids were living in poverty. You know, and that to me is fundamentally wrong, and it doesn't even make an headline when we've got the most kids ever living in abject poverty that we've got now. Don't even make an headline. You know, and that to me is wrong. And it's a case of making sure, because here's an old saying, you know, a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. You know, work used to be the route out of poverty. Now the most amount of people claiming benefit are in work. It's in work poverty that we're paying for, and it's taxpayers that are paying it. And the other thing that really winds me up is the fact that you get corporations like McDonald's, which if it was a country, it'd be the 6th largest economy in the world. Yet we pay £200 million out of their taxes to finance their bad pay, because we're paying people, working families, tax credits for people working in an institution like McDonald's that would be the 6th richest economy in the world if it was a country. I think that's abhorrent. Not the fact that we support workers through working families' tax credits, but the fact we're subsidising corporations' low pay at the same time they're turning their backs on paying taxes in this country. And I think the thing for me is we shouldn't get mad about all that. We should get organised about all that. That's why it's been fantastic to see the work and the collaboration that we've had between Unite the Union, the Bakers Food and Allied Workers Unions. They've been organising workers in places like McDonald's, TGI's, in places like Wetherspoons as well. It's been absolutely fantastic. Starts off small, but those small steps can turn into absolute leaps as far as this movement is concerned. And they're the leaps I believe that we need to take, because there's some uncomfortable truths for us to face as a movement. And I believe that we need to face them, and we can't duck and we can't dive them. And they're twofold for me, really. The first of all is the fact that 87% of the private sector hasn't got a union in it. That means that 13% has. 87% hasn't. We've got a severe problem as well. If you go down the age range then and go to workers under 30, over 90% haven't got access to a trade union or haven't joined one. That to me is the challenge that we face in moving this forward. We're skipping a generation where the only thing that's going up in our movement is the average age of a member. And what we need to do is to get an organising model that's fit for the 21st century and fit for what workers of today and the future are actually looking for. I believe that we can do that. I believe that the organising that's gone on in places like McDonald's, TGI's and places like Wetherspoons is a start for that. Because the simple reality of the matter is, at the moment, those that need trade unions the most are currently the least likely to join. What we've got to do is make sure that we can give them that offer so that they know that their future's in their hands, and they can look at us to be the change champions as far as their working lives are concerned. Because at the minute, they're more than likely to leave their job and go find another one if they're treated like crap at work than they are to stand, to fight and to join a union. And I honestly think that what we need to do is to make sure that we can give people the courage to be able to do it. I believe that we are a cause, I believe that we are a movement, and I believe that we can build that future. And a united movement, being able to organise for that future, is the best way of doing it. Thanks very much indeed for your time.